Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. This is Mike Dell, and this is Mike Dell's World Mobile. I forget what number it is. I think it's 203 or 204, but I'll make it right when I post this. This is going to be one of the weird ones. Maybe long, I don't know. I'm just starting out. It's a little bit before sunrise on Saturday, the 18th of January 2014. Oh, Happy New Year's. You know, it's been a long time since I've done one of these, so I forget what I've told you, so I'm just going to randomly pick up the mic and talk as I drive along here. This could be a long day. I am currently between Mansalona, Michigan and Alba, Michigan on what's known as the Alba Highway. Might as well be the Alcan Highway or some other Arctic something or another, because it's snow-covered and more fit for a snowmobile than a minivan, but that is what it is. Let's see, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I know I haven't told you about the job change, or if I have, it was a long time ago. But as you know, I had been for the last year and a half driving for a courier expedite company, hauling everything from computer parts to body parts for transplant to whatever needs to get there quick, and dealing with the airlines and putting cargo on the airlines and driving stuff all over the state and sometimes out of state. And I want to say in August, I got a phone call from a print shop in town, fairly well-established commercial print shop, and they were in need of a graphic artist, which is what I did for the prior 18 years before I started the driving gig. And being as though the driving gig was getting a little, how should I say it, tedious, and it was, you couldn't schedule anything because you never knew when you were going to get the call to go and all that. So I thought, what the heck, I'll go drive a desk for a while. And so I took him up on the offer, and so since the last week of August, I've been working in the print shop. But I'm still on the list for the courier company. Since it was an independent contractor job, you just tell them your availability. And by the way, those who know Northern Michigan, I'm just passing Spike. Although you would never know it because the roof is covered. That's an inside joke. Anyway, so I've just passed Spike. But anyway, so yeah, I've been driving the desk, designing stuff and making other people's designs work on printing presses, like I'd been doing for 18 years. And it was kind of good to get back to it. The technology hadn't really progressed much, so in fact, the shop I'm at, technology was just a tad less than the shop that I'd left a year and a half before. It's a different company, a much smaller company, which I actually like. I like that fact, just because, the company I was with, started out when I started there 18 years before I left. There was maybe 25 employees, and they had grown to almost 100 employees with, roughly 100,000 square foot facility. And there was more meetings per week than there were per year, when I first started. And, it got very corporate. And it wasn't that corporate's bad. It's just I don't function well in corporate environments. I found that out, at least in big corporate environments. I still am working with Blueberry and Raw Voice, which is a corporation, but it's also an independent contractor gig, and it works out really well. Between the two of those, it just keeps my mind going between that and then the occasional driving job. For the most part, with a driving gig, it's hey, we need you to go pick up something at the hospital and deliver it to the airport. So I go drive 2 hours to it's a different hospital, different town than I live in. It's Petoskey instead of Traverse City, so I have to drive an hour up there, get whatever it is from the hospital, and usually blood samples or bone marrow samples or something. I don't, whatever. It's just a box to me. And then I take it to the airline counter in Traverse City and ship it off to wherever it's going. And I'll do that maybe once a week or once every other week. And then on Saturdays, usually, this Saturday's odd. I'll get to that as I progress along here. But then on Saturdays, I've been running a post office route. And what that is FedEx has this thing called Smart Post. It's where FedEx delivers the packages from their origination to whatever post office is closest to the delivery, and then the post office delivers it as parcel post, and it saves FedEx money and saves you money because it costs a lot less. And of course, you ever order anything from Woot.com? It's that company that has the deal of the day or whatever. They ship via Smart Post, and the logo for Smart Post that they use is a snail. In other words, you get it fast, but you're going to get it cheap. But anyway, they have facilities all over the country that the FedEx truck pulls up to this facility, a big warehouse, and overnight, and the guys sort it out, and then they have route drivers, whatever you want to call them, that pick up the boxes for X number of post offices. And at where I work, that part of the business, it ranges from people with 26-foot straight trucks with lift gates all the way down to people in minivans. Depends on which post offices and how many packages and whatever. So I've been running some Smart Post routes or post office routes, either in my minivan or the company's big diesel cargo van. And so I do that on Saturdays. Usually I'm done by noon, whatever. Depends on where I'm going. And so it's been nice. It's kind of a part-time thing. I get a little bit of windshield time, and that's when I get to catch up on normally listening to podcasts. In this case, producing one in the Chrysler minivan mobile studio, driving through the frozen tundra of northern Michigan. So that today they had a fairly routine, normal thing. The warehouse also warehouses parts for computer companies. Such as Cisco and Dell and whatever, and then their technicians say they need a part. They're working on the cash register at Walmart or whatever, and they need a part, and it's warehoused in our warehouse. They'll call us up and say, hey, we need to go pull this part and deliver it to the Walmart, wherever, or deliver it to Office Max or wherever they're working. It's one of those things, and that's how you get your parts. Like, if you have a Dell computer and you ever called in-home service, and the technician shows up with a hard drive already configured and ready to go to replace the one that crapped out in your system, well, he gets that hard drive from an outfit like what I work for. Because, rather than having to ship everything from a central point in the United States, they warehouse them around. And usually, no less or no more than 6 hours away from wherever, But today I had what was somewhat routine. Every once in a while, we'll have a part in our warehouse that another warehouse doesn't have and needs. And what they'll do is they'll pull the part, and then we'll take it to the airport, put it on an airplane, and it's up there in a few hours, or wherever. In a few hours, and somebody picks it up, and then they go out to the field and fix whatever's broke. Yeah, all that to say is, went to the airlines this morning, and there's one particular person that works at one particular airline. I'll call it Acme Airlines. And if you know the airline pilot guy, you'll know which airline I'm talking about. But Acme Airlines counter people in Traverse City. There's some that are really good at cargo and have a great attitude about it, and other people that absolutely hate your guts when you walk in there with cargo. Well, I got the latter today, and she absolutely would not help me, period, which I don't think is correct. But that's a whole other thing. Being in customer service as I am sometimes, ticking off your paying customers is not generally a good idea. Only problem is they got kind of a monopoly around here, so be it. But I don't know what'll ever come of that. But the upshot was it was going to Marquette, which is 300-ish miles from Traverse City. Still in Michigan. It's way up on Lake Superior. Of course, Traverse City's down on Lake Michigan, up in the, I guess if you look at the lake itself, we're in the northeastern part of Lake Michigan, and where Chicago is in the southwestern part. So we're kind of kitty corner across the lake from Chicago, some 400 miles away or 300 miles away, something like that. Anyway, Marquette's way up the top of the Upper Peninsula, or DAUP, as we say here. And it's roughly 400-mile drive. Well, rather than fight with the airline and get it there later, because it would have been probably tomorrow before the part got there, I pulled the part this morning early, 5 in the morning, and was trying to make a 6:45 flight. Well, that didn't work out. So the upshot is I get to drive it to Marquette, which is good because I get paid a whole lot more to do that than I did than I would have to drop it off at the airlines. And I get to take a nice drive. I don't know how nice it is. I get to take a drive up in the thing. You hear my well, maybe you can't, but got my Nexus 7 here acting as a GPS, and it's coming up on an intersection here, M32. That's Michigan Highway 32. It's about 4 miles from Interstate 75 in Gaylord, Michigan. And like I said, I'm going to stop this. So the next thing you'll hear would be a little further down the road. I'm going to kind of do one of the old-fashioned. I remember back in the beginning of podcasting, Trucker Tom, and he's still around doing it. He's got some 1,800 shows or something. He's still doing it 2-3 times a week. If you're interested in this kind of stuff. Of course, he also does like I do. He goes off into other topics, but he's a over-the-road truck driver. And back when he first started, he would kind of do, kind of a sound-seeing tour of what he was seeing out the window as he was driving along, amongst other things. And that's kind of what I'll do here. The snowbanks are, I'm in a Chrysler minivan, so, you all could visualize that probably. Just a little bubble on 4 wheels, a boxy bubble. And the snowbanks alongside the road here on Highway 32 are, at least as high as the top of my rearview mirrors, and in other spots higher than that. But just the basic snowbanks are about even with my mirrors along the road. The road is not quite dry, but not covered in snow or anything, so it could be kind of black icy. But I'm going reasonable speed. But yeah, I'm going to go up I-75, go over the Mackinac Bridge, and then I'm not sure which way the GPS wants me to go, but my inkling is I'm going to go on US 2, just over the bridge, and that kind of follows Lake Michigan across the top. And then at some point I'll pick up, I believe it's Highway 41, that cuts north through the Seney National Forest and up to the town of Marquette. Marquette is near where the old K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base was. Now it's Marquette International Airport. It's a county-owned airport that's got a 3-mile-long runway. It's kind of overkill, but hey, why not? If they need to fix the runway, all they have to do is close the part that they're working on, and they can still land anything that would fly up there. President Obama was up there a few years ago, I guess, landed it at the old K.I. Sawyer International Air Force Base, whatever. I don't even know what I think they call it Sawyer International. But anyway, it's up there. Also the home of Northern Michigan University, which is, I don't know, it's a pretty big university. They specialize in mining technology. Used to be a big area for copper mines up there. And I don't know what they teach now, but it's a lot of geology and mining technology, and plus they have all the other normal university stuff. Actually, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, being as sparsely populated as it is, has 3 major universities. In the southern half of Michigan, the Lower Peninsula, of course, you got University of Michigan, Michigan State University, Wayne State, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, all those. But it's just kind of strange that these are up in the UP like that, in sparsely populated areas. Oh, well, the whole thing up there is a big wilderness with towns scattered around. Marquette's probably the second biggest town up there, followed by Sault Ste. Marie, which has the Lake Superior State University. That's the one that always comes out with a list of banned words every year around New Year's. You probably heard them in the news. And I don't exactly know what they specialize in. They kind of do everything. A couple friends of mine just graduated as nurses up there, so they have a good nursing school. I don't know if they have a med school, but... And then a little bit further north of Marquette, up in the Keweenaw Peninsula, which is that little horn that sticks out on the north part of the UP into Lake Superior. Way up there, there's a university called Michigan Tech University. And, of course, they're, technical college or university. And I have a friend that lives up there, and you might have heard of him, Brian. Used to do a show called Audio Attitude back in the day, and I think the first name he had was Procrasticast or something like that, and somebody talked him into to changing that because it was really hard to pronounce, spell, and find. So he's up there still. And his partner Joe, and he works in the mental health field, I believe. At least last I knew he did. I think he had some sort of career change or job change anyway recently. I haven't talked to him lately. And Brian, if you're hearing this, we need to talk. I think he used to listen to my podcasts. Of course, it's been so long since I've actually done one that probably half of everybody dropped off, but oh well. Such is life. Well, I'm just getting on the freeway here on I-75 at Gaylord. So I got probably, 60, 70 miles to the bridge. So this will be the only stretch of interstate that I'm on for the trip. And then the rest is all 2-lane highways. But that's all right. Like I said, Gaylord right here is probably the snow capital of Michigan, and followed maybe by Marquette. Marquette gets a ton. Well, the whole UP does, but Marquette gets it a little more so than some of the others because they get lake effect off of Lake Superior. Anyway, I'm going to shut this off for now. I'll be back momentarily a little further down the road.
Well over 200 years ago, the earliest European explorers struggled against the treacherous currents and unpredictable winds which ruled the Straits of Mackinac, separating what was to become Michigan's upper and lower peninsulas. Early on, the Straits was recognized for their economic and strategic military value. In the 1700s, both the French and the English built forts overlooking the waterway and stationed armies to protect their interests. Travel and commerce between the two peninsulas was limited to whatever could be transported by boat or carried across the ice in the winter. When the upper and lower peninsulas became the state of Michigan in 1837, the problem was compounded. So near, yet so far were the opposing shores. For years, many dreamed of a bridge across the strait, but the technology to build such a structure had not been discovered. It was first proposed in 1884, and from that time until November 1st, 1957, Mighty Mac was known as the bridge that couldn't be built. Actual construction started in 1954 after financing was arranged through the sale of bonds to private investors. A total of $99,800,000 was necessary to complete the project. There were many obstacles to overcome and problems to solve in the design and construction of what was to become one of the safest and most beautiful spans ever built. The total length of the Mackinac Bridge is just 28 feet short of 5 miles. The two majestic towers soar 552 feet above the water and extend another 210 feet below the surface to rest on bedrock. With 8,344 feet from cable anchorage to cable anchorage, the Mighty Mac is the Western Hemisphere's longest suspension bridge. Over 42,000 miles of wire are banded together to form the massive 24.5-inch diameter main cables. The roadbed is 199 feet above the water surface at midspan. The water at midspan is 295 feet deep. Prior to the bridge opening, Michigan Department of Transportation operated car ferries between Mackinac City and St. Ignace. In their last year of operation, these ferries accounted for some 900,000 vehicles crossing the straits. Currently, the bridge carries over 4.8 million vehicles each year. The Mackinac Bridge serves as the gateway to the unspoiled natural beauty of the Upper Peninsula. Winter in the Upper Peninsula is a snowmobiler's dream come true, as thousands of acres of wilderness and forest are honeycombed with thousands of miles of spectacular groomed trails. The land of Longfellow's Hiawatha gets more than its fair share of snow each year, providing excellent trail riding from December to mid-March. Visitors to the Upper Peninsula in the winter find the only thing better than the snowmobiling is the warm Upper Peninsula hospitality. Affordable and friendly are the two words which best describe the hundreds of hotels, motels, and bed and breakfast inns. Many visitors are amazed to find snowmobilers are not only welcome, but appreciated. If you would like to know more about things to do and see around the Straits area or throughout Michigan's two magnificent peninsulas, visit one of the Michigan Department of Transportation's 13 welcome centers, conveniently located throughout the state. There are two located in the Straits area. One is located at exit 338 on Nicolay Street in Mackinac City, and another in St. Ignace, just past the toll plaza on the north end of the bridge. Both allow easy access on and off I-75. The Mackinac Bridge Authority looks forward to your safe crossing of what we think is the world's most beautiful bridge. Be sure to follow the speed limit on the bridge, and remember while pulling a trailer to allow some extra safe stopping distance between your vehicle and the traffic ahead. We hope that your trip is enjoyable and that you'll visit the Straits of Mackinac again soon. You're listening to WHNC, licensed to and operated by the Mackinac Bridge Authority. This message will now repeat.
We made it to the UP across the mighty Mackinac Bridge. If my recording turned out, you would have heard that just before I started talking. The bridge information as you cross the bridge. It's probably not a great recording. I haven't listened to it yet, so maybe I won't even include it. In which case, never mind. But let's see. It's about 9:15 in the morning. Same day. Like I said, I'm going to try to get all this recorded today. And I'm on U.S. Highway 2, headed westbound. There's two ways to get to Marquette. I think this one's probably a little bit easier going today, especially since it's clear skies, sunny. about -1 degrees, but can't have everything. And the road seems not snow covered. I wouldn't say it's exactly dry, but as cold as it is dry. It just has some dusting of snow. Snowbanks are a little bit smaller here than they were in Gaylord. And Lake Michigan is frozen as far as I can see. I was going over the bridge. It was kind of neat seeing the shipping channels. The icebreakers went through, and then the ships went through. But it's frozen up solid as far as you can see out on the lake. Now, along this highway, there's a lot of places where you can see the lake, and I fully expect that when I get a little further west here along the top of Lake Michigan, I'll probably see some open water, but you never know. There's open water all around Traverse City. The Grand Traverse Bay, it's froze out a little ways on the East Bay, and the West Bay is not froze at all, but that one doesn't usually freeze over until February, and that's only if we stay cold. It doesn't freeze every year. But up here, it's pretty regular for the lakes to freeze. So now I've seen 2 of the 3 Great Lakes that I'm going to see today. So I'll be seeing Lake Superior here in a couple of hours, maybe 3. I don't know. What's it say here? It says I'll be at my destination at 12:17, and I don't believe there's a time change. Somewhere up here there is a line where you go into Central Time, but I believe it's west of Marquette. But I could be wrong. I just don't remember. I think it is west of Marquette. I think it's the part of the UP that borders Wisconsin. They go on Wisconsin time. So, but like I said, I'm not exactly sure where the time zone line is. But Michigan is as it looks. It doesn't look like a very big place, but you can drive, I want to say 660 miles or something between the 2 furthest points and still be in Michigan. I mean, that's admittedly all the way to the western tip of the UP to all the way down in the corner there by Toledo and the southeast part. I want to say it was 600 and something miles. I don't remember the exact stat, but I guess that's not important. You can look it up on Wikipedia, I'm sure. But, for being a small state in the Midwest, it's sometimes long distances between places. And like I said, this part of the trip is kind of the wild and woolly part. Well, along the lakeshore here, it's not so wild and woolly, but there is not a lot of houses built up on this shore here, or businesses. I mean, in spots there is, but it's not like, all along the Pacific coast in California where, everywhere they can have it, there's, well, maybe not everywhere, but, anywhere near any big cities, there's just, everybody's crowded to the shoreline. Up here, it's not quite that way. I mean, there are spots, of course. Of course, I'm driving through a state park area right now, so there wouldn't be much in the as far as houses and whatnot. But this, goes for, I don't know, I think I go for another 60 miles or so, and then I turn north. It's basically once I get up to the other side of Lake Michigan, and then I turn north and up US 41, and that takes me up to Marquette, which is, like I said, on the shoreline of Lake Superior. You notice along here there's a lot of little tourist trappy places. Just passing a Letho's Okay, let me try that again. Letho's Pasties. Pasty is kind of a I don't know, meat pie sort of thing that is real popular amongst the Finlanders or Finnish people. And this whole area of the UP is a lot of Finns immigrated here and brought their pasties with them. And anyway, so that's a popular UP thing. And then there's all kinds of little tourist trappy places. And there's actually a place on US 41 west of Marquette. I won't go over there, but on this trip, but a little town called Ishpeming. And there's actually a place there called the Yoopers Tourist Trap. It's a comedy singing group called Da Yoopers that are from Ishpeming, and they travel all over the Great Lakes area with their UP humor and songs. And of course, they got their little tourist trap where you can go in and buy their CDs and all that. I was trying to think the last time I was in Marquette. It's been a long time. Back, I want to say mid-90s, early to mid-90s, probably 93, 94, 95, in that ballpark. I was working for H&R Block. I was working for the district office in Traverse City, which covered all of Michigan north of Grand Rapids, including Da UP, or at least over to Marquette. And that was the furthest out office. Well, actually, Ishpeming, I guess, but Marquette area. Ishpeming, Marquette, and Munising were offices under the Traverse City district. And I was their computer guy. And that's when they were just getting into networking the offices. So they'd have a server at each office that connected to the internet. And then they had, you had to wire up all the desks and set up all the desktops. And that was back in the Windows, I want to say when I first started, it was Windows 3.1.1. And then it went to Windows 95 right in that time frame. So I would make numerous trips up here during the tax season, which is now through April 15th. I'd be up here probably 2-3 times. And I don't remember the weather being this nice. So I guess I picked a good day to come up here. But I was trying to think, like I said, the last time I was up here, I'll bet you it was probably 96 maybe, or 97. So it's been a good 15 years, 16 years. Hell, I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun. Even driving for this courier company, it's pretty rare to get something going to Marquette. He said most of the time, if the airlines cooperate, we use the airlines. But what the heck? I didn't have anything going on today anyway, so I volunteered to just drive it up. I don't know if it saved them any money. Probably cost them a little extra, but at least they'll get it there. Probably get it there a little sooner than the airlines would have. I'll have to look at that when I drop off. I'll have to look and see what that flight was and see if the flight even got to Marquette before I did, because it had to go through Detroit. There's no direct flights between Traverse City and Marquette. I think Marquette mostly, their airplanes either go to Detroit or Minneapolis. It's like Traverse City, they either go to Chicago or Detroit. And then in the summer they go other places. But wintertime, it's just Chicago and Detroit. I think in the summer they do LaGuardia, Kennedy in New York. And they got one to Denver, one to Dallas, every day. I'm trying to think of where else. There was one other town that I thought was kind of weird, but they go anyway. And they go to Minneapolis, of course, in the summer. But anyway, so yeah, just driving along the dunes here. Of course, no sand is showing, but some of the beach grass is showing up through the dunes. That's kind of neat. And I still don't see any open water. It's just ice as far as the eye can see. And at this point, I can actually see part of the lower peninsula. But that won't last too long because I'm about even with it. But it's right there at the northern tip of Lake Michigan. And the highway, I mean, literally is half a football field. The white line on the other side of the road is a half a football field from the water. So this just hugs the shore here for a couple of miles. And it's really quite beautiful. It kind of looks like a snow desert out on the lake. And of course, there's a little cloud bank south of here, but yeah, it's severe clear north and east-west. And the sun is really nice and strong. I haven't seen it in a while. I had to break out the sunglasses just because of all the white snow and with the sun beating down. So that's all right. So let's see, what else has been happening? I've been, as far as podcasting goes, I have been semi-regular over at podcastingtechcoach.com, my podcast about podcasting. I decided to retire Geek of the North, although I'm keeping the website open and we'll do something with that periodically. But no longer going to be trying to produce a podcast over there. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's one of those things where, it's fun to do when when the mood strikes me, but to have it be something that is scheduled just isn't that much fun. I am going to be rebranding Podcasting Tech Coach. Rebranding that to a name that I'll announce later. So keep an eye out for that. Of course, if you're subscribed to Podcasting Tech Coach, you won't have to do anything. It'll automatically switch to the new website, new feed, and the new branding. I'm just branding it with something a little more catchy than that and a little easier to remember. And it goes along with a book that I'm going to be releasing if I get a chance to work on it, hopefully this spring, or maybe even sooner, I don't know. But, geez, as I'm driving along the lake here, it looks like the wind is picked up out there, and there's like a cloud of snow right down on the water, right down on the ice. Not at the water. Well, I guess ice is water. But it kind of looks neat. Looks like a sandstorm would in the desert, except for it's just pure white. And being that everything else is white around it, it kind of all blends together. Kind of neat. And let's see. Still doing the raw voice and blueberry stuff, as I alluded to earlier. And not a whole lot. Well, I mean, there's a lot coming with that. Some announcements that are coming out here soon that I've been working on over there. But nothing earth-shattering just yet. Some new services, I guess. I'm really not completely in the loop on it, and it's just as well because I'm busy with what I'm doing. I did not go to CES this year or the New Media Expo. I was tentatively thinking about it and just decided with a new job it just wasn't a good time to take a week off to go to Vegas and work that hard. Those guys work their butts off for that show every year over at Tech Podcast Network. Todd and Jeffrey and most of the time Andy. Andy didn't go this year either. He had another commitment with a client of his and couldn't make it. But Daniel J. Lewis from Audacity to Podcast, amongst other things, he was there. There was a new guy, and I, for the life of me, can't remember his name, a new on-air guy for TPN. But he was quite good. Of course, Jamie Davis and his crew from ProMed Network were there. And they did some good videos. I'll probably get involved in editing some of that video at some point in the next month or so. But I watched some of the live broadcasting. I didn't get to watch as much as I would have had I been there and running the board. But they did a good job what I saw of it, and their glitches were minimal, so that's good. They're getting the hang of everything. The first couple times I did it, we had our glitches, but it pulled it off pretty good each time. And I look forward to next year. I do plan on at least going to New Media Expo next year. If it's similar arrangement to how it's been the last couple, just before CES, and then of course I'll probably do CES while I'm there. But this year was just a little weird as far as financially and changing jobs and a lot of little transitions. I got rid of the house out in Lake Ann, so I'm no longer a landlord. So where I started the original Benzoid Report is now occupied by somebody else. And I haven't lived there in almost 8 years, and it was good to finally be free of that responsibility. And that worked out quite well, and now that that's gone, Kathy and I are debt-free other than the house we live in. And we really don't owe all that much on that either, so maybe with any luck in the next few years, if things go the way I want them to, we'll be debt-free on that too. Of course, it'll be just in time for all the cars to wear out. And let's hope not. I like driving the older cars that are paid for versus the newer cars that are not paid for. So I'll take a little inconvenience once in a while. I just hope this thing doesn't die when I'm out in the middle of the Seney Forest, the Seney National Forest, far from anywhere. I don't even know how the cell coverage is up here. In fact, the last time I was up here, I have to remember that, I had an old bag phone. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was one of those, it was a bag about the size of a football that had a big honking battery in it and a big honking transmitter in it, and then regular phone receiver sort of thing on the top of it, and you plugged it into your cigarette lighter, and if you had an external antenna, you stick that out on the roof or whatever of the car. Because I remember that. It was through CenturyTel was the name of the cell company, which got bought by Alltel, which got bought by Verizon. So I'm still on Verizon today. Same phone number, too. But yeah, that was when I had the bag phone. That was the last time I was up here. Wow, that's got to be a while. I've been on this stretch of road since then, because we do go, I haven't in the last couple of years, but before that every year we used to go to a place called Grand Marais. And one of the ways to get there is to go on US 2 here, and you cut north. I don't remember where exactly to get up there, or you could go up to Newberry through Highway 28, I guess. I know that's all boring and stuff, but this place is north of Newberry, so I have been along here for a little while longer. Doesn't look like it's built up a whole lot yet. I'll be interested to see how Marquette looks after 15 years of not being there. I don't imagine it's really sprouted too much, but hey, you never know. Traverse City has, and just about everywhere else I've been has. So I guess Marquette probably could have. We're finally getting to the stretch of US 2 here where more into the woods. I still can see the lake through a thin bunch of trees. Oh, there's the rumble strip. But anyway, US 2 turns into a 2-lane here from a 4-lane. And like I said, the whole trip other than that 60 or so miles on I-75 is all two-lane or non-freeway roads. In fact, the only piece of freeway in the UP is from the Mackinac Bridge up to Sault Ste. Marie, which I believe is 50-some miles, and that's it. There's no freeways anywhere else up here. So what else? Along with the job change, I had to get better contacts. My prescription had changed enough to where the old contacts were good for driving and normal stuff, but trying to stare at a computer all day and look at little type on business cards and brochures and whatnot, it was just too much, and so I ended up getting a new prescription, and man, does that make a difference. I still carry cheaters, but I almost never need them with the contacts. Before, with the old contacts, I had I think there were 2-power cheaters, so whenever I had to do paperwork or whatever, it seems that I could see stuff on the computer and see stuff on my phone and the tablet and whatever. I could see that just fine to a point, but if I had to look at something on paper, it was a lot harder. Now, like I said, rarely take the cheaters out of my pocket, and they're only 1-power cheaters at that. Every once in a while, if I got to pull a serial number off of something or, something that's not lit well, then I need to break them out, but it's really been nice, and I'm getting used to sticking my finger in my eye more so than I had before. So this morning I got up, and it took me maybe, 30 seconds to get both contacts in and feeling good, where there was times where I'd have to allocate 10 minutes or more to get them in, and it was frustrating, but so once you get the hang of it, and it took me over a year to get the hang of it, they're not so bad. So anyway, like I said, just we're looking at the GPS here. Looks like I got 40 miles to my turn, and that'll take me up through Seney, and that'll be nice. So I think I'm going to kick back, turn on. I think I'm listening to security now. I'm going to turn that on, listen to that for a little while, and I will resume a little further down the road. And in case you're really familiar, I'm just going over the Cut River Bridge on US 2. Talk to you in a sec.
And now, the 10 a.m. weather conditions across Michigan's Upper Peninsula. At Newberry, the wind was calm. The barometric pressure was 29.82 inches and rising. Sault Ste. Marie reported mostly sunny skies with a temperature of 10. Kinross had sunny skies with a temperature of 12. Mackinac Island reported mostly sunny skies with a temperature of 14. Manistee reported cloudy skies with a temperature of 15. Sawyer International Airport had mostly sunny skies with a temperature of 3. Menominee reported a temperature of 1. Houghton Airport had light snow with a temperature of 12. Ironwood reported a temperature of 3. Elsewhere across the western Great Lakes, fog was reported with a temperature of 12 at Detroit and 6 at Green Bay. It was cloudy with a temperature of 22 at Traverse City and 17 at Gaylord.
All right, back with you. Let's see, it's now a couple hours later. I'm up on M28, about 15 miles from Munising, Michigan. That's right on the Lake Michigan or Lake Superior shoreline. And already crossed through the Seney National Wildlife Refuge / National Forest. And just on a desolate stretch of UP highway here. A lot of snow-covered trees. The snow's coming down. The sun kind of went behind the clouds on and off. I'm in what's known as a lake effect band, I'm sure. It's the only time it snows when it's sunny. Of course, it's not. The sun's kind of behind a cloud right now, but it comes and goes. the road's not bad, and there's nobody, as far as I can see, their direction on this road. So I'm out here all by myself. Oh, there's a truck coming finally, but it's pretty deserted. It's kind of nice. But yeah, right after I signed off last time there, I started to get into the lake effect. That's what that cloud I saw coming across Lake Michigan was. And now I'm getting the lake effect from Superior, I imagine. I guess I don't know which way the wind is blowing. But that happens. We're used to it around Traverse City. We get it all the time. At least the first half of the winter. Usually by the end of January, the lake has gotten cold enough that it no longer produces lake effect, or very little. So makes February kind of boring. If we get any snow, it's usually what we call system snow, or Alberta clippers, which we've been having a lot of this year. That reminds me of that big cool snap we had a while back. Everybody's talking about the Arctic vortex. Oh my gosh, there's an Arctic vortex. Well, there's always an Arctic vortex. It just doesn't usually slip down here. It usually stays up in the Arctic where it belongs. And, every once in a while it slides south, and of course, the news media has to come up with some new catchphrase for everything. Like the Weather Channel naming winter storms. That's about the silliest thing I've ever heard of. And they're really pushing it. And of course, Weather Channel's owned by NBC, so NBC also uses the storm names, which, like I said, a winter storm isn't like a hurricane. It doesn't stay together. It kind of splits up and goes all sorts of directions. And and that vortex, I heard somebody say it was like a hurricane. No, it's not like a hurricane. It's always there. It just slows down in the summer months and speeds up in the winter months, and every once in a while it slips off the top and touches us a little bit here. People in Canada know all about that. And let's see, coming into a little town here. What is the name of the little town? Shingleton. Not Singleton. Shingleton. Maybe I read that wrong. Take my sunglasses off here. But another pasty place, and a gas station that's 30 cents more expensive per gallon than Traverse City. So, yeah, we're 10 miles from Munising, and I got about 55 miles to go to my destination in Marquette, according to TomTom on the Nexus 7. But anyway, getting back to the winter storm names and all that. This winter we've had more snow in Traverse City this year so far than we've had in the last 4 or 5 years all season. And it hasn't really let up. Started, Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving, maybe a little before Thanksgiving. And other than a couple of days, we had a little warm-up. Was it last week? The week before? I don't remember. Right after that cold snap, it went up to the 40s for a day or two. But we didn't get the big meltdown like, sometimes we get the January thaw where, all the snow will go away completely. But we just had too much snow. But ever since Thanksgiving, just before Thanksgiving, snow's been covering the ground completely. Which is actually good because it gets my driveway nice and packed down. So I get a nice packed snow base on it, and makes it a lot easier to plow. When it melts off, you get slush, and if it melts off completely, and then next time it snows, snowblower's picking up dirt and rocks and stuff from the driveway. Of course, I didn't rake leaves is well, it's usually after Thanksgiving. We got one more chance to rake leaves before the snow comes and covers the yard. Well, we didn't get that this year, so there's leaves underneath my snow. And when I'm blowing snow, and if I dig down too much with the snowblower, I start blowing leaves all over the place. So it's nice that it stayed. I'd much rather have this than, melt and then back to snow and then melt and then go back to snow like we've had for, several years. It's also kind of strange. I went all the way through the Seney National Forest, all up US 2 and all that, and I didn't see any snowmobiles on the snow. I've seen some on the back of pickup trucks and on trailers and stuff, and then now I'm just coming up on the first bunch of snowmobiles I've seen since I've been on this trip, which is really odd because it'd be a perfect day for snowmobiling. But apparently there's a big trail right here, and there's a bunch of them lined up to cross. They're just waiting for me to go by. And yeah, definitely a big trail. So it's a lot of fun. We used to come up here when I was a kid and snowmobile, but as they say, old Youpers bit says you got a wife, you got a kid, you got a house, you got a car, you got a pickup truck. What do you need a snowmobile for? Ain't you got enough problems? And it's true. Hey, I'm just crossing the railroad tracks, and what's significant about this, the railroad tracks are the Trans-Canadian Railroad, not the Trans-US, it's the Trans-Canadian Railroad, also known as the Sioux Line. And if you look it up on Wikipedia, the Trans-Canadian Railway actually dips into Minnesota and comes across Minnesota and northern Wisconsin and into the UP of Michigan, and then crosses back over at Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, which is across the river from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. So it's always kind of interesting to see the Trans-Canada railway signs when you're still in the U.S. So anyway, like I said, this is kind of a sound-seeing tour, I guess, or I don't know, just a way to burn up time while I'm driving through the snow here. Like I said, I remember Trucker Tom doing that all the time back in the day, and he still does some of it. Like I said, I think he's up to show 800 or 1800, or I'll have to look. I've got it on my iPod. Speaking of iPods, my Generation 4, I think it was, iPod Touch, developed an issue where the big 30-pin connector, which they've since replaced with the little connector, I forget what they call it, lightning connector, I guess, a little 8-pin thing, size of a mini USB, but not a mini USB. But the 30-pin connector, the latch on one side wouldn't latch. That wasn't much of a problem. I just push it in, and I plug it into my stereo here in the car, and it wasn't any big deal. It would hold, and then the other side got weak, and then I'd go over a bump, and all of a sudden my iPod would disconnect from the stereo, and that got to be a pain. So I did bite the bullet and get a Gen 5 iPod Touch with the new lightning connector, and that works much better. And it's got the bigger screen. But I think I've come to a conclusion that I'm going to end up getting an iPhone. And it's not because I think iPhone's better than Android. It's not really that. I'm tired of carrying around multiple devices all the time. And the more I can combine devices, the better. I've got the Nexus 7, and that's great for a tablet, small. And that combines the Kindle that I used to have with a tablet. So that kind of helped there. And then, wait, I wait for my turn here. I got 4 miles. And then now I'm thinking, well, I'm going to combine the phone and the iPod. Because, yeah, I know I could use my Android phone, but it won't interface with my car stereo. Or at least this one won't. I guess I could buy another car stereo that would work with Android, but I kind of like the way iPods work and iPhones, so I think I'll go that route. And oh wow, totally off the subject, but Shopko. They're just passing a Shopko store. You don't see those in the Lower Peninsula. I don't know if they're national or not, but there's definitely none down where I live. Another thing that's more popular up here than it is down there is holiday stores. You probably never heard of it. Holiday gas stations. There's actually a couple of them around Traverse City, but they're not as popular. Up here, there's holiday stores everywhere. And up here, there's not very many Speedway stores, which we've got a ton of around Traverse City and all over Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. My normal stomping grounds. But, yeah, totally got sidetracked there with the Shopko thing. And now I don't even remember what I was talking about. I guess it's all right, since it's my podcast, and it's essentially about nothing. But I don't know what little town that was that I just sort of drove through, or if I'm on the south end of Munising. I guess that's probably what it is. And this is the outskirts of the thriving metropolis of Munising. And I know the last time I was up here was like 94, 95. Used to have that block office up here at Munising, and pretty sure that was long gone. The thing I remember about it specifically was it was a shared office space, one of those, rent a couple of offices in this office building, small office building. And the heat wasn't controlled by the tenant. It was controlled by whoever else, but it had the old style radiators, radiator and boiler system, and that office was 85 degrees in the wintertime, which you'd think would be nice, but man, you can roast. I remember working on stuff, running cables under behind the desks and whatever, next to that big old radiator, and just sweat dripping on me. I had the windows open, the doors open. There was a blizzard going on outside, and I was still overheated. That's all I remember about it. I probably couldn't even find the building if I wanted to. But I know it was in Munising. And I remember one time we left there in a blizzard, and by the time we got to the Mackinac Bridge, I'd been in four-wheel drive the whole time. Yeah, there we go. We're in the Munising city limits right here. But by the time we got to the bridge, it had turned to freezing rain. And all the way from the bridge to Traverse City, I had to stop about every 4 miles to de-ice my windshield wipers. They would literally, the ice would just build up on them, and they'd be 6 inches away from the windshield. It was nuts. So, okay, I got to make a left here. Wow, that's another thing you don't see. Hardee's. Oh boy, we definitely have to make a stop there. I feel a $6 burger coming on. For those of you out west, it's exactly the same thing as Carl's Jr. Exactly. It's just the eastern one. But we don't have any of those down Traverse City area. So definitely have to remember that for the return trip. Although I think there is one in Marquette, and I'll probably go to that one. But I haven't been to Hardee's in a long time. I think the last time I was in a Hardee's, wasn't even a Hardee's, it was a Carl's Jr., and I think it was in Ontario, California. It'd probably be 2007. I think it was the second Portable Media Expo. That's now Blog World New Media Expo out there in Ontario. So Okay, it says I got 38 miles to the next turn. So I didn't end up going over to 41. Eventually I will hit 41, but GPS said this was a better route, so who might argue? Go up to Munising and then across. And I should get my first view of Lake Superior right there. Yep, there's Lake Superior. So there's Great Lake number 3 for the day. It's another thing you don't see in other parts of the country is the seasonal Dairy Queen. You know, most of the Dairy Queens now are, kind of like McDonald's, fast food places that happen to have ice cream. Up here, they still have the old walk-up Dairy Queens that are just ice cream places. And there's one there closed for the season. There's a lot of stuff that's closed for the season up here. A lot of hotels. There's probably, around Mackinac City, there's probably 40 hotels. And I believe there's 2 that are open in the winter. All the rest are closed up for the winter. Maybe there's more now, but a while back there wasn't that many. Traverse City used to be that way, but now they're all year round. Most of them, there's a few of them that close for the season, but not very many. So, but, now I'm on Long Lake Superior. If I remember correctly, up ahead here, there's a casino. And across the street from the casino is where the road goes really close to Lake Superior. And I was up here one time, the wind was kicking up so much that the waves were landing on the road. You had to run your windshield wipers to get through it. It was in the summer. Imagine it gets pretty wild in the wintertime when it gets that much, unless it's froze. But what I seen when I got my little glimpse of Lake Superior, it wasn't froze out that far. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. But anyway, I thought I'd make a little report here, and I'll turn this on probably after I've dropped off and checked the flight and had lunch and all that. I'll give you another little bit here. I appreciate you sticking with me, and I'll get a little more regular at doing these Mike Dell's World podcasts. It's kind of therapeutic sometimes, just to get stuff off your chest and all that. I might even throw some Youpers music in here. Depends on how long all this ends up being. I don't want to stretch it out to 2 hours or anything, but if it's in under an hour, maybe I'll throw a Youper song or 2 in there, just because it's interesting to me. Anyway, you might get a kick out of it too when you hear their accent. Youpers, the true Youpers, have a definite accent. So, and I'm about 2 miles from Christmas, a town in Michigan called Christmas. And this is the Keewaydin Casino there. Kathy and I are planning a trip right here. Come up here and spend the weekend at Christmas in the hotel by the casino. Just for something to do, get away from town. But like if I'd have been thinking, I'd have told her to pack her bags and we could have spent one night up here. Oh well, I guess we'll probably do 2. And going by a little lake here, there's all kinds of ice shanties out on it. Used to call that Tip-Up Town. Actually, it's on Houghton Lake, but hey, why not here too? But looks like a little village popped up on the lake here. I wonder if they're getting fish. I wonder what kind of fish they're getting. Haven't done that in years and years either. Something about sitting out on the ice in the winter just doesn't compute anymore. But apparently a lot of people like to do it because there's a whole lot of those ice shanties out there, and I see people walking around. So, yeehaw. More in a little bit. All right, back after, I don't know, it's been a few hours. I went ahead and made the drop-off in Marquette. And I did check, and we got there 45 minutes before the airplane would have had I got it on the airlines. So that worked out pretty good. And in the interim, I got a phone call from dispatch saying, hey, on your way back to Traverse City, swing through Petoskey, and we got another pickup there that goes to the airport in the morning. Different airlines, so shouldn't be a problem. So kind of get paid twice for the same driving, which is good. So that's where I'm headed now. Should be there in about, hour and 45 minutes or so. And then from there it's an hour to the house. So making good time. The sunshine was there briefly in Marquette, and then got back to where was it, Munising. It got back in the snow, but it wasn't too bad. Just a little flake here and there. Now I'm kind of going in and out of the sun back along US 2, headed for the bridge. I got about 35 miles to go, running along Lake Michigan again. The frozen tundra there. But I guess I'm fairly close to Engadine, maybe, or Nabinway. I don't know. Haven't really been paying close attention to exactly where I was. The GPS is telling me when to go and when to turn, and so that's what I'm doing. Following the GPS. As I was driving along, I remember I said I was going to rebrand Podcasting Tech Coach, and that I've got a book coming out. Well, I settled on a title for the book, and I think I'm going to title the podcast the same. So I'm still going to not mention what the what that all means, or what that's all going to be right away, because I want to get a little closer to the release date to do all that. But I want you to think about something, and if you come up with a good answer to my question, go ahead and email me, or Facebook, or Twitter, or whatever, and see if you can find another acronym for the two letters BS. Of course, we all know what BS stands for most of the time, and it's not Barbara Streisand. But I want something a little more politically correct that might just mean the same thing. So I've got an idea of one, but as an exercise, if you've come up with something, that the letters BS could stand for, that would mean kind of the same thing, let me know. Like I said, I have a pretty good idea what I want to do, and believe me, it's all related. So that's the good thing about getting windshield time. You get a lot of time to think and come up with ideas, and I always like to keep moving towards something or another, and it's good to have a goal. And so getting that book done is going to be a project that I should be able to get done, I would think, in the next month or two. Hey, the sun's coming out. I got to put my sunglasses on, because over the lake here, the lake is just pure white. Makes it extremely bright. But it's good to have some sunshine. It's been a lot of days since we've had good sunshine, and you can only drink so much vitamin D milk. You should get some of it naturally. I don't know how much I'm getting through the windshield or through the side windows on the minivan here. Switching gears a little. Found out today that one of my coworkers at the courier company, who had the oldest living example of a Chrysler minivan still in active service, well, his van finally died. and so it was towed off to the junk man, and he bought himself a much newer van. But in the end, he got 476,000 miles out of a 99. I think it was a Dodge Grand Caravan, one of those Chrysler minivans. And had the original transmission in it. It's never been rebuilt or looked at. The original engine never been rebuilt. He's had several other little things go wrong, brakes and radiators and alternators and air conditioning, and he's had a lot of other stuff go wrong, and nearly 500,000 miles. But it goes to show you take care of a vehicle, it'll take care of you. He was very religious at doing the transmission service according to the book, and changing his oil all the time, and just making sure all the fluids were where they're supposed to be, and generally, didn't drive it, like a madman. And I do pretty much that way too. I drive pretty tame, although every once in a while I get in a hurry and I might run the speed up a little bit, but for the most part, not in that big a hurry. In fact, when I take long trips, like when I've taken the Columbus trips or the Chicago trips, I get out on the freeway and set the cruise at like 62, even though the speed limit's 70 most of the way. And not only do I get better gas mileage, it's not as stressful, and I think it makes the vehicles last longer. I've got around 150,000 on this one, and I think it's good for at least another 150. If my buddy's old van was any indication. Of course, I still have the Subaru. That one's at 180,000. My wife's driving that one now. And the Cadillac has reverted to the third vehicle. I've got an old 99 Escalade. That's got about 150,000, 160,000 on it. But that one's for pulling the camper. And if either of the other two break down, we've got that in reserve. And it doesn't owe us anything, so why not? But so that was, like I said, that was a little bit of weird news there. Not seeing him in that old van. I was trying to figure out who the heck is this guy. As I was pulling into the warehouse, and he was backing up to the door to go do his run this morning. And it was a nice newer. I think he bought an 08 or an 09. Bought it used, of course, and it really looked nice. This one's an 06. That's I think it's the second to the last year of this body style. Then they changed to the more boxy body style. This one's all the streamlined one, with the big windshield. And yeah, it's not cool. It's not a cool car. It's not a fashion statement. One thing it is, though, is it's very stealthy. What I mean by that is, when I was driving more recognizable vehicles, I had my green Mazda truck, I had big tires on it and ham antennas all over it, and, it was pretty obvious who owned it, or not who, but it was a very distinctive looking vehicle. So, I'd be somewhere, oh yeah, I saw you over at such and such, and I saw you here and I saw you there. I don't get that at all with this. This thing just blends into the woodwork. There's 80 gazillion of them around, and so it's really quite something. Nobody notices you. I go right by somebody that I know, or family or whatever, and wave at them, and they're just oblivious. So if you ever want to drive around and not be noticed, I recommend the Dodge Grand Caravans. But like I said, they're obviously not. I don't know, but they're well built. I guess what I'm saying is they're not handcrafted like that Subaru. You get in that thing, everything's tight. And, it's got a leather-wrapped steering wheel and heated seats and, just exudes quality. Whereas this, it's just plain, a plastic steering wheel, plastic everywhere, simple seats. But, man, I'll tell you, this thing's comfortable. I've been sitting here basically since 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning. And it's now 3:30-ish in the afternoon, and I don't feel like I've been driving all day. I feel like I've been sitting in my recliner, minus falling asleep. So I got to say, one thing, the driver's seat at least is extremely comfortable and doesn't ride badly, and you got lots of room for stuff. So I guess... don't need to have a cool vehicle. And if I'd have done the same trip in the Subaru, even though the Subaru is real quality feeling, and it also has all-wheel drive and kick-butt snow tires, I wouldn't feel nearly as relaxed at this point of the day. Because I've done it. I drove that for nearly a year doing this courier work. And it was great. You always knew you were going to get there, no matter what the weather was. But it certainly wasn't as relaxing as this. I guess the only thing better than this would be maybe a full-size van, but then again, with a full-size van, you're sucking a lot more fuel, and they're probably worse in the snow. This is at least front-wheel drive. So, I don't know. I guess I'm just rambling at this point. Like I said, running along Lake Michigan here on US 2. We'll be crossing the Mighty Mac yet again here shortly, and then I got about an hour from there to my pickup in Petoskey. And then, as I said, another hour-ish, get home, maybe a little less than an hour. Then I get up in the morning and go to the airport. I don't have to get up too early tomorrow, which will be good. Getting up at 5 o'clock this morning was not... necessarily my plan, but whatever. And the funny thing is, I'm not on call this weekend. We got this thing called, where I'm on call certain days. Usually it's a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, since I'm just a part-timer. And I was on call all last Sunday and never got a call. And today I had 3. They had one other little short one this morning, too. Well, they were supposed to both be short, as I explained earlier, and then I got this backhaul one on the way home, so that worked out. Actually, if I was to get one more Petoskey or Gaylord run this weekend, I will have made more money this weekend than I did all week at my day job. The one good thing about the driving gig. The problem is the work's not steady. I can, when I was doing it full time, I might have a $400 day followed by 3 days of nothing. And then just when I plan on going to do something else, they call and I got to go do something. And, it's a little disruptive. Although I have to say I enjoy the driving slightly better than pushing a mouse around the desk at my day job, but a little mix of both is good, and it worked out well. We didn't have anything planned today to speak of. I got to get all my tax stuff together. Got to send my quarterly taxes in, I believe, Monday. I don't know. They were due. It said the 18th, which is today, but I believe if it falls on a Saturday, it goes to the next Monday. And with quarterly estimates, I think they're pretty much voluntary. So I'll just get it when I get it. And since I've been working a regular job for 4 months out of the year, or 3.5, I suppose I may even get a refund. That'd be nice for a change. was kind of weird getting a W-2. I haven't had one of those in 3 years. So all been 1099s and self-reporting, being self-employed. So now I'm kind of a combination. I do some self-employment, obviously, and then some W-2 work as an employee. The other cool thing about getting the employed job is it cut my health insurance costs down considerably. Instead of paying for it all out of pocket, the company picks up a good portion of it. I guess that's a good thing. I won't even get into the whole Obamacare thing. I don't understand how it helps anybody, but whatever works. I'm covered simply because I want to be, not because they tell me I have to. Just one oops and it can put you in the poorhouse if you're not adequately insured. But I also believe that's my responsibility and not the government's. Enough of that. Well, I don't know if this will be the last update on this trip or not, but I guess we'll see. Still got about 20 minutes before I hit the bridge, and I think I'm going to stop just over the bridge and get a fresh beverage and shake my legs a little bit and continue on. So, and oh wow, just drove by a guardrail that looked like somebody hit the end of it, and it looked very much like a pretzel. I'm not just saying that; it was basically the shape of a pretzel. The whole first 20 feet of the guardrail, so that had to leave a mark. So, anyway, with that. Catch you next time.